Hello everybody, I hope you're well. I'm sorry there's been a bit of a gap in the last video. It's obviously been Christmas, I've got really busy and then I was ill over Christmas as well. So it's the first time I've had really to sort of settle down and see where we are with things and move on to the next phase with the house. So I just thought I would show you the window in situ, which I don't think I've showed you before. As you can see, it looks amazing with the brickwork. I'm really happy with the colours that I've chose. It is fully movable as well. And like I said, those paint in the paint in the actual gaps there just gave it that little bit of friction so that it doesn't fall down, but it's still easily movable as well if you want. So really happy with how that turned out, and I'll give a little update now and move on to where we are with things. Right, so this is the hallway section of the basement, and this is what we're working on currently. So in the last video you saw the stairs I was putting together, so we still need some more work to be done on those. As you know, this back part here is going to be closed off as a cloakroom, as a bathroom and toilet, and then this front bit's going to be like a bit of an entertaining space. Now, I need some MDF for this area, and I'm probably going to struggle to cut it right myself because, you know, even with a saw, I'm not going to get a very good cut, I don't think. So I think what I'm going to do is probably pay a little bit extra and actually get someone to cut me a piece that I need with an exact size. And then if you remember from my last videos, the door's going to go here. So I'm going to get them to cut that hole out as well. And then I've got an exact piece which will just slot in. Obviously, I will wallpaper the back side of it then, so that makes the cloakroom. And then I haven't decided how I'm decorating this front bit yet. But yeah, I think I'm going to pay a bit extra and just get that because it's too important a project for me to have something that's not going to be right and to mess up. And you are going to see that wall, and I'm not sure if I'm wallpapering this area yet, so it needs to be pretty much exact, otherwise there's going to be gaps in as well. And it obviously needs to sit, because it's not going in any grooves, because this is an extra bit I'm adding in. It needs to be glued in as well, so it does need to be sort of a snug fitting, but it also needs to, you know, make sure it actually fits as well. So for the sake of all the hassle I'm going to have to cut a piece of MDF when I've bought it, I think the best thing that I can do with that is just to buy a piece ready cut. So I'll let you know how I do that, but that's the plan for that bit. But we're going to get on with this first. I have bought some tiles for this floor, and I'll show you them now. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is these little bricks. So I decided to make a traditional tiled Victorian floor for the basement hallway, and we have dark red and green, and as you can see, these are from Romney Miniatures. So as you know, I've been working with a lot of the Versi bricks and sort of tiles and things from Stacey's, which I absolutely love. But I thought I'd try something different, and I've not actually worked with Romney's Miniatures before, so I thought I'd get some of these tiles and have a play around with these. Okay, so here the tiles put together, and I don't know if you can see, you maybe can probably better on this one, but they've actually got a little ridge all the way around, which means when you put them together, it naturally leaves a little gap, which you can use obviously to be grouting after, which is a really clever idea actually, because it means that the tiles will all be the same space. However, because they are made, you can see that there are some little notches on the side, which are going to put them out of sync. Like this one won't obviously lay flat, so probably going to need to do a very light sanding just on that bottom bit, just to make sure that that it's a flat surface basically, so they'll all go together nice. Now what I want to do is put them in the house like this, so that they're almost on like a I don't know, what's that, 45-degree angle, so that the front of the house will be here, and then they will kind of go backwards in like almost a diamond pattern. So that's the plan. I think what I probably need to do is get some sandpaper out, start just making sure that they are flush all the way around and quite square, and then have a go at putting them together again and just see what they look like then, and see what the fit's like. Okay, so they've just had a very light sand now on the sides, and as you can see, they're sitting together a lot better. One thing to note, these, I don't know how they're looking on camera, but they're supposed to be red and green, but to be honest, it's almost like a grey colour rather than a green colour. It doesn't really matter to me because actually I think they're really nice as they are, but if you are wanting a green, it's like a very, very, very dark olive green, and to me, like I said, it is actually looking grey. It's probably looking like a greeny grey, but it's still a kind of grey colour. But looks really nice. I think it is actually looking probably a bit more grey on the camera by the looks of it, a bit darker, and the red's looking a little bit lighter. But yeah, just to bear in mind, they are quite a dark colour there. But yeah, that's how I want to have it now. The plan is the plan when I lay any kind of flooring, whether that be wooden or tiles or anything, is always to start from the front. So your front's here. That's where you need to be starting. The reason being that you can always make a nice part at the front, and then at the back, if you've got some weird sized tiles that you need to fit, if you've got, like, you're doing a wood floor and you're having the horizontal lines coming across, and then at the back you've got a little tiny piece that you can maybe cover with skirting board, or you're just gonna have a weird little piece of wood, or it's not quite gone horizontal, so you end up with a bigger piece of wood at one side and a small piece at the other. You know, that's the ugly side, if you like, is what I like to think of it. Make sure the ugly side is at the back. So always good idea to start anything like this from the front and then work your way backwards. So that's what we will be doing. So the next consideration whenever you're thinking about laying a floor is obviously things that you need to go around, or if you're going to be putting the floor under. Now, because these are tiles, and they're going to be quite fiddly anyway, and then I need to grout, I don't want things to move. I don't want to be going around things and moving my hand around things because I think it's going to make it more tricky. So because of that, the stairs are going to sit on top, and also, obviously, you can see here where the doors are going to fit as well, so I'm going to have to look at that. So if we just put one of the doors in, as you know, these are the doors that we painted. So if we put one of those in here like that, because I want the doors to be going into rooms, because this is the hallway and that's how they normally work in houses anyway. So that will open like that. And let me just see, obviously if I put tiles round, that cornice or that framework there, it's really detailed. Can you see? And I think it's going to be very tricky to get tiles around that looking great. And then obviously if there's gaps and I mortar it, it's going to be going up the wood. I'm going to be then trying to get it off wood and worry about the wood dye. It's just going to be a mess. I know it is. So I think the sensible thing to do here is put the tiles under and put the door frames on top. So I'm just going to put a couple of tiles in and then I'll sit the door frame on top. I'll have to put the foam down, so I'll do that and then I'll come back to you. Right, so I've just laid a row of tiles down and then I've slotted the door on top, and there's enough give at the top that the door's actually just gone in there perfectly. And you can see that is going to look a lot better going over the tiles. So that is the plan. I'm going to lay the tiles and then I'm going to sit the frames on top, and I'll just check the other side as well. Okay, so surprisingly, the other side does not fit with the tiles going under. That's fine. I'm still going to go ahead with my plan because I don't want to go around the bottom for the reasons I mentioned. So what I'm going to do, if that doesn't fit in there, it looks a bit more than it is. You can see it's a tiny amount. In fact, I think it only might be the corners there. So what I'll do when I'm ready to install them is just get the Dremel out and just take a little bit more off those corners, and then that one should slide in perfectly as well. So yeah, that's the plan. Again, with the stairs, I know it's again adding a little bit of depth to where the stairs will be, so I'm just going to have to work out something once that's done, because I don't want them to be a massive lip on top where the little landing is as well. But again, if I put the stairs in and start working tiles around and going behind the stairs, it's just going to be a big job. So we'll lay the tiles as planned. But firstly, one of the things that I do want to do as well is get the brasswork on these doors. So I'll show you what I've picked for those. Okay, so these actually come with a cute little key as well, look. cutest thing. I'll try not to lose those because they come in this tiny little packet. But these are the handles that I've chosen. How well you can see them on the camera. How cute are they, and how nice are they going to look in this like Victorian house? So I was a bit worried because when I looked at the dimensions, it did look like they were quite big, and also the thickness. I mean, if you want to get really, really pedantic, probably the thickness is not going to be great on there, but I'm more interested in how it will look. Actually, that's probably going to go on. No, it's going to go on that side. On that side, and I want it to go probably about there. A little bit lower, I think. And obviously make sure that it's not going to affect that frame either. So something probably like that. So what I need to do is make sure that obviously they're going to be about the same height as well. So I'm going to use super glue because this is metal. I'm going to be using super glue to stick these on. So yeah, we'll get the first ones on and see how they look. So I think I want the handle about there. It looks right on, I measured it kind of with the panels compared to the doors that I have in my house, and it looks about right there. I'm not going to go into the nth degree of measuring up per millimetre how far it needs to be up. And I think it's going to be easier for me to line up on these doors as well if I've got a reference point, and I have, because this little piece here, it kind of just sits on this bottom panel bit. So if I line everyone up so that the handles are the same, they just sit on this bottom panel bit, this bit, and then this bit is in the middle of kind of this framework with the frame on. Obviously make sure the frame's on so that you can check, and that's going to be more important on the other side, I'll show you. But yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Now, I've just noted as well that keyhole, white is going to show through. And if it was a real keyhole, it would be black. So I'm just thinking now whether to put a little bit of black paint, and I've just marked a dot with a pencil, as you can see, and whether to just make a little circle of black paint so that when that fits on, it looks black. I don't know if that's going to the nth degree of things, I know, but I think it will just look a little bit neater. I mentioned the other side of the framework because, well, this is not the right handle, obviously. Oh, the handles move as well. That's really cool. I mentioned that that's going to have a handle at the other side, but if we've got it on there, we do need to think how this framework's coming round and how that will look. So it needs to obviously be in the middle of that actual framework as well. So we do need to have a think about that on that side. So yeah, let's get these little black dots painted and get these glued on and see how they're looking. Okay, so I've actually found a Sharpie, which will do the trick, save me getting black paint out. And I have gone and Googled the height of a door handle. And the most common one is about 1,000 millimeters in real life. Now, if you're ever looking to convert something, it seems obvious, but again, if you're a beginner and you are looking to convert something to this scale, we're in 1/12 scale. So anything that's like 1,000 millimeters, if you divide it by 12, that'll give you the size for this. So 1,000 millimeters divided by 12 is worked out at 83.33 millimeters, so about 83 millimeters. So if I measure up from the bottom of the door, and I have a square, I don't know where my other, actually it's going to be impossible to do on that, isn't it, thinking about it, so I am going to need a proper ruler. Oh no, there it is. Right, okay, so if I have that point there and 83 millimeters is about, well, 80 millimeters is about there. So to be honest, it is pretty much set on, and it says that is the most common. I think it was anything from 834 millimeters to a bit more. So to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. That's near enough for me. So I am going to keep with that original place, because for lining all the others up, like I said, with this area here and that handle, it's going to be much easier to line all the other ones up as well. So we're going to make this dot. I'm just going to, I am scared actually, but I'm just going to make a little area here in permanent marker, and I think that should be enough. Let me just try that. No, it's not. It needs to be a little bit bigger. Just make it a little bit bigger. I don't know why it's pulling it off now. They want a bit underneath. That's it. Try that. Okay, it just needs to be a bit taller. So let's make it into an oval. Like that. It's always better to add more than to go too mad, because if you get a bit outside where it needs to be, it's going to be much more difficult to cover up with it being permanent marker. Right, and I just need a tiny squidging on that side there. A tiny little bit there. Right, that should hopefully be it. Yeah, that is, yeah. And that looks a lot better it being black now, because it looks as though obviously it's a hole for a key. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to get that glued on, and then we'll do the other side as well. Okay guys, we've had a little accident. So these lovely little handles that I was showing you, I have had them upstairs for a while, and I completely forgot I've actually ordered two different types. These ones with the handle like that are actually for the outside doors, and these ones are for the inside ones. So I've took one off there and made a complete bloody mess. So what I'm going to have to do now is obviously sand that there, paint it again with the white about 4 times or however many it is, and then I'll have to try and add another one on. So I'm just going to put that to one side at the minute, because I do need one for that cloakroom a while later. So I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to carry on with the other two. Okay, so we've done one, and just wanted to show you the result. I am really, really happy with that. And if you're worried about obviously putting one on both sides, just have a look like that when you're matching them up just before it completely dries, and you can see it's pretty much spot on. So when it opens and closes, it doesn't look silly. It is a little bit slightly more out, this one, than that, because obviously that one, it folds into the door frame there, so you've got less space there on the opening side, on the kind of the front side if you like, than you have on the back. And the way this frame will sit, I just double checked as well, is about there, so that's not going to interfere with the frame at all. And yeah, I'm really happy with how that looks. So we'll get the other one done, and those 2 hallways will be finished. Right, so we've got the tiles. I think the first thing we need to do is start with that bottom edge, the front. So if the front of the house is here, and I think I'm going to start with red for the edges. So we need these tiles, I want them to sit like that. And then the green ones will go here. So that obviously means that these tiles need to be cut in half. So there's a flat edge like that. So they'll start like that, and then the green ones will obviously sit behind. So the easiest way is obviously just for me to diagonal them from one diagonal to the other. And then I'll have 2 corner ones, and these where the cut will obviously be where the front edge is. So I've got a knife, I've got a ruler, so we'll get on with that. Ah, right, okay. That's a shame. I think this is going to be potentially trickier than I thought then, because I thought if I obviously scored it, I'd be able to get a tile, but that's now cracked half of them, and I don't want that to happen to them all. Right, we'll just try one more. They must be able to be cut, otherwise they're not going to be great to lay at all. Let me try. I might have been just pressing on that one too hard. Let me do it a little bit lighter. Right, right, okay, that's better. So you just need to be quite gentle with them, clearly, then. Yeah, by the looks of it. And then you can see how these will line up along here, along the front. And the green ones will then sit like that. And we'll start to get this pattern. Like I said, I do need to sand them, like I mentioned before. They've got like some little notches on the corner. Eventually I'll get this nice pattern that looks like that going into the house. So we just need to do a few more of these. Now, in terms of laying a floor, I know you'll have probably seen a lot of videos where people do lay templates. There are reasons for and against this. I think if you're laying on a level which has like lighting running under or something, it's always good to put a template in, because if you ever need to get to rewire or anything like that, it's much easier to take up a flooring if it's on a template underneath. Or if it's a really awkward space that you want to put a template down first, put the flooring on and then slot it in, that's another option. For me, myself, unless I need to put a template down, I just generally like putting the wood or whatever I'm laying tiles directly to the floor. This is the basement, so there's nothing coming up, there's no wires coming up for the floor or anything, so I'm quite happy for the tiles to go directly to the floor. And I'll always have some spare tiles. If one breaks, I need to replace it. If I do need to take the floor up for whatever reason, then yeah, it's going to be a bigger job, but it is what it is. Hopefully that that won't happen. So my plan is just to lay them directly onto the MDF. So we'll get a few more of these cut, start sanding down the sides, and then we can start adding them in. Okay, so anything that you do like this that's quite intricate, it is going to be a bit of a labour of love. So these are all cut and sanded now, and I've sanded all these green ones as well. So I think the next thing is to take them upstairs, get some PVA glue and a cocktail stick, and I'll start laying them down, and then we will have a look at how they are looking. So here's where we've got to today. Pretty happy with it. They're not perfectly square. I think if you wanted them OCD perfectly square, you'd have to do a little bit more sanding than I've done. I'm happy with them. They're supposed to be original Victorian tiles, so I'm quite happy, and I do want them to look a little bit a little bit not perfect anyway, a little bit imperfect, so I'm quite happy with that. So I think I'll leave this video here, and the next video will be continuing with the tiling, getting the stairs in, and potentially the other part of the stairs need doing as well, and then obviously need to have a think about that MDF as well. There's so many ideas bouncing around my head, and this is just one tiny little bit of the house. It's just literally the basement, and already I feel like I'm going from one to another, so I'm just going to try and get one room done at a time if I can. And like I said, I haven't quite decided how I'm going to finish this front bit yet either, so while I know in my head, and I've made a decision that I know I definitely want to do something like these tiles, then this is what I'm going to concentrate on. So yeah, that's it for now. Take care, guys, and I will see you soon.